So, a little bit of a later video today, but I wanted to go over some of the recent Detroit Red Wings news. Does Steve Yzerman look like a fool? Is there really solace here? Because today we're talking about a roster move made by the Wings, and we're also talking about an older move made by the team too. Because one of these moves seems to be a really bad kick in the head for this Motown organization. So, let's start out in the more chronologically recent timeline and talk about what happened this morning, because the Wings announced on Twitter that they have recalled goaltender Sebastian Cossa from the AHL's Grand Rapids Griffins under emergency conditions. And this is a really, really fun experiment. Not really experiment, but it's kind of a necessity at this point, considering yesterday you had Cam Talbot leave the Red Wings and Canucks game with a lower body injury. I think a lot of us were confused at that point in the game, considering it wasn't like he was getting pulled because he let in a goal or something like that. It's not like he was playing poorly either. He just left. And with Alex Lyon already on the shelf, and Ville Husso being the main guy now, I think that spells a lot of panic for Red Wings fans who are trying to look at this team objectively. Ville Husso has had so much struggles over the past few years, and it's been very difficult to see him try to man the crease in a consistent capacity. But now, with Lyon on the shelf and Talbot out too, it's almost like Husso has no choice. Meanwhile, if we go over to Sebastian Cossa and his profile, he's coming off of a pretty good stint in the AHL and hopefully going to be seeing some NHL game action at some point in the near future. Cossa is 22 years old, 6'6", 209 left-handed catching goaltender drafted by the Wings in the 15th overall spot in 2021. He was the first goaltender taken in that season, and it was kind of a surprise because a lot of people thought, myself included, that Jesper Wallstedt would have made a run for that title. Regardless, Sebastian Cossa had some up and down years ever since getting drafted. He actually had a decline in the WHL the seasons after his draft-eligible year, and then he played in Grand Rapids before posting up some pretty bad numbers with that organization. This season, though, he actually has improved to a pretty significant capacity. He's at a .925 save percentage in the AHL with 14 games and a .221 goals against. He's got a 9-4-1 record and one shutout. Sebastian Cossa has looked pretty solid. So this is really good for the guy, right? He went from a struggling WHL goaltender to a struggling AHL and ECHL goaltender before bouncing back last year, and now this year fully taking control of that team to the point where he is now the first call-up. And if you take a look at the Grand Rapids Griffins, they do have some guys back in their organization that will probably be the main goaltenders now that Sebastian Cossa is gone. Carter Gielander is there, so is Jack Campbell, Malcolm Subban, Gage Alexander. There are a few guys that will probably be able to hold the fort down with the Griffins. But for Sebastian Cossa, he's been the main guy this season so far. Now it's all paying off with some NHL minutes. One does have to wonder, because of Jack Campbell's situation with the NHL's Players Assistance Program, if he didn't go through the program, if he was playing the entire season, would Jack Campbell have been the first call-up instead? Like, I get it's kind of a stupid thing to ask, but I mean, if Jack Campbell was given a primary role with the Griffins, and let's say he does, not even like well, but let's say he does alright, would Jack Campbell have been primary call-up number one instead? I think what this shows is that you have Sebastian Cossa, who has been given an opportunity. He had a pretty favorable circumstance in the crease heading into the year. I mean, I get it, last season Sebastian Cossa played 40 games, so he was already one of the primary dudes in the Grand Rapids Griffins organization. But then again, I mean, Jack Campbell was an NHL star for a good few years in the past little while, so there was an opportunity for Sebastian Cossa to potentially lose out on this opportunity and potentially the Griffins crease, but Jack Campbell was not able to overtake him due to his absence in the NHL's Players Assistance Program, and you could also say it could have been due to his inferior play the past year and a bit here. Moving over onto other Red Wings goaltender news, we had Alex Lyon, who was placed on the IR, retroactive to November 27th, 2024, which means that, yeah, he's gonna be out for a while, and this is not really going to be anything that I would hope we expect to see get better in the short-term future. As for Cam Talbot, per Coach Lalonde, Talbot is being evaluated by a doctor today We will know more about this tomorrow. Patrick Kane will not be available tomorrow, although the team is hopeful for Thursday. So that concludes our little conversation about Red Wings moves that have happened recently. With this in mind, though, I wanted to take a little bit of a Back to the Future DeLorean trip and head over to a move made by the Red Wings a few months ago. Because, wow, have we been seeing some terrible returns out of this trade. And to help us out, I wanted to go over to my buddy O. Nyquist. He went out there and tweeted this out earlier this week. Jake Walman has 17 points in 21 games on the San Jose Sharks. I will never get over this crap ever. Oh yeah, baby, we're talking about Jake Walman. And some of the replies go out there and talk about, yeah, I mean, the Red Wings paid a price to send Walman away. He's playing with some pretty good players, and he's looking very good. You head over to this tweet made by Sheng Peng. This season has been a coming-out party for Jake Walman. He is now tied for 6th amongst all NHL defensemen in points with 19. He also played a career-high 26-20 tonight. This tweet was from November 30th. Warsofsky said that Jake Walman has a really natural ability to break out pucks and make plays. Whether that's off our breakouts, the neutral zone, and the offensive zone, he could kind of impact all 3 zones. And the top reply says, yeah, we got him and a second-round pick for free. Ha 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 ha. And yeah, you can definitely see where Steve Yzerman's sort of experimental trade has started to bite him in the behind, not because Jake Walman is like an absolute all-star. Sure, he's got all these points. Sure, he's actually being given a big role, but consider the development here. The guy's on pace for 67 points in 77 games this year. He has almost as many points as he had last year with the Wings in 40 fewer games played. Sure, he had 12 goals last year, which was a pretty good mark, but this season, I mean, he's been an assist playmaking machine. He's been looking fantastic on that power play unit in San Jose. We had been mentioning this for a good chunk now, even heading back to earlier in today's show. The Sharks are looking great. Will Smith has started to be on a heater. William Macklin has been scoring. Zetterlund has been awesome, so has Mikael Granlund and Macklin Celebrini, and Jake Walman is the cherry on top, who is now, at the time of recording this audio, what is that, 11th overall in points, or he's tied for 9th in points? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's tied with John Carlson, Dougie Hamilton, Rasmus Dahlin, and Shane Gostisbehere, which is crazy. Like, how do you get up there after being traded for future considerations? Steve Yzerman, I have no idea what the mindset was there, and I think just based off of how everything has gone, it's going to be a really long time before we figure out what happened. Or, from the words of Kanye West and Jason Tatum, I guess we'll never know, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these Red Wings moves. Let me know your thoughts as to how the goaltending situation is going to play out, and what are your thoughts on this ridiculous Red Wings trade? Steve Yzerman is looking like a pretty, I don't want to use any names here, but let's just say, if Steve Yzerman wasn't Steve freaking Yzerman, I question how much his plan would be revered at this point. Is there any defense to this move? And do you think Jake Walman would be as productive as he's been on San Jose if he was on the Detroit Red Wings instead? Is that even a possibility? I mean, the Wings have not really been as hot as some of these San Jose guys have been in terms of scoring points, so I do question whether or not that's actually a valid idea to present to the table here, but Walman has been taking advantage. It does not look good on paper for the Wings. Who's to say that he wouldn't be producing many points if he wasn't on any other team? By the way, did you notice that Shane Gostisbehere also was one of the top NHL defensemen in points this season? So yeah, the Wings let them both go. I gotta go because the guy with the leaf blowers outside my apartment just decided to make an appearance here, and I do not want that audio to put out here on the video, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section about all this stuff with the Wings. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.